Willie D Live.
Leon Howard, also known as Wallstreet Trapper.
What's good, OG?
Welcome to the show, King.
What's good, OG? How you feeling, man? I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm very delighted to have you on the show, bro, because you represent a guy who got it out the mud.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, man, to know part of what your journey is because you shared it. And a big thing with you is giving information and instructions to help us navigate through this wild, crazy, beautiful world. The finances, by building your finances up. Why is it so important to you that we normalize generational wealth?
So just coming up in New Orleans, I realized that every hood really had the same issues. It wasn't that we wasn't hard workers. It wasn't that we wasn't willing to take risks. It was we just ain't had the information. And so when you don't have information, then you are handicapped on what you can accomplish and what you can do just in the world. And when we think of America, we think about a country that print money all the time. We understand that there's a certain class of people that are always able to accomplish and live a certain life, but then there's another demographic, there's another class of people that all they understand is working 2 jobs, working through 3 jobs, hustling, risking our lives to go to prison. I went to prison for 10 years for attempt murder on robbery. And so you start to understand that if I had the right type of information, so I went to prison. When I was in prison, a guy introduced me to it. And I was like, damn, this crazy. So he literally told me, like, man, y'all playing the wrong game. And for me, that was, well, you ain't here with me, so how you playing a different game for me if you ain't here with me? And so he just told me a couple things, and sometimes it don't always have to be something so profound. It can be a little nugget. He was like, man, listen, wealthy people stop trading time for money. They start making their money work for them, and they give value to people. And that planted something in me that was something I ain't never heard before. Mind you, I'm 16. This is 1999. I ain't never heard that before. And so just the rest of my sentence in prison, I just started reading books like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. I started looking at CNBC, and I just started realizing that, being in the street and being a businessman in America is down there one and the same. It ain't no different. Like, they sell legal dope on Wall Street. Like the pharmaceutical business is one of the billion-dollar businesses in America. So I'm like, they just playing a different game, but it's almost the same product, and they just playing by different rules. And so for me, when you think of generational wealth, when you think about that, and I think that term get thrown around a lot in our right now, and we not really understanding like what it take. It's more than just investing. It's more than just buying property, right? That's surface level. There's information and structure that has to be there. So if we look at a company, we look at a man by the name of Cornelius Vanderbilt, right? He's the man that who's responsible for the railroad system. At one point, he was the richest man in the world. Well, why nobody don't ever talk about him no more? Well, because even as a billionaire,
they went broke. Didn't his
family went broke?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They lost all the money, except for one of them that's still doing it right now, Anderson Cooper. He's a part of that family. He come off that bloodline, Anderson Cooper.
Right.
He's from that bloodline.
From his mama.
He's from that bloodline, exactly.
Right.
So, that term is so just thrown out there. And for me, because I study it, I now see the nuances in it, and I now see the importance of it more than just surface level. Like, how do you normalize your family being free? How do you normalize your family having opportunities without being slaves to the system? So it's down to me, it's breathing, and then it's building wealth. Like, they one and the same, because we get too accustomed with operating in dysfunction. We get too accustomed to operating in chaos and lack. There's nowhere in the world we can live in a society where you have trillion-dollar companies, you have men worth hundreds of billion dollars, and then you still have people living check to check. That don't even belong in the same category to me. If America's supposed to be the land of opportunity, well, why is it that certain people have the opportunity and others don't? And so for me, it's because we too good with being entertained. We too good. We too comfortable with laughing. And while we laughing and being entertained, they going to the bank on us. and they setting their families up. So we look at Bernard Arnault, and I just said this the other day. So this dude became the richest man in the world during the pandemic. He don't got a technology company. He owns Louis Vuitton. He owns Moet. He owns Hennessy. He owns Fendi. He owns Dior. He's the man that owns that. Well, one of the things that he did was he made his daughter the CEO of the Tiffany company. And then he made his son, he put them on the boards of his other companies. And then what he did was, he know he don't got too much longer left on this earth, even if it's 20 years, 30 years, whatever. He already put in place to where they can't sell none of the stock in the company for 30 years after he died. That's generational now. Then he's already put other documents that his grandkids, as a family, they always got to own 61% of the company. Like, that's generational wealth for me. And so when you just start understanding that these people just playing a different game than us, you need to ask yourself a question. Either you're going to let them feed you, or you're going to go out and get your own food and hunt on your own. Because if you allow them to feed you, then you give them permission to starve you.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to me.
Yeah, let's go back, man. You come from a city,
Born
in a city where bullets ring out, guns ring out in parks, and walking to the store could be an adventure. What's that upbringing like? Are you a two-parent household, single mother? What's going on there?
So, man, it was rough. So I saw my moms get shot when I was 9, right in St. Rock Park.
By who?
She was in the streets. So, just another person in the streets being affiliated. You know how that go. And that happened to me. That was like maybe 150 yards away from me. So that was my first encounter with gun violence. My mama ain't died. But then I also saw my mama catch a juice for drugs and shooting somebody. I was a product of that. And so when my mom's went to prison, my grandmother passed away. So for about 8 months of my life, at the age of 13 or 14, I'm literally just homeless. And then it wasn't because my people ain't love me, but I think there's a part where you just can't afford another mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I still don't hold it against my family, and I ain't tripping. So that was my life was like. So at 16, I go to prison for attempt murder on robbery. So I don't get out of prison until I'm 25 years old. So my whole upbringing was from seeing the streets, experiencing the streets, and then prison. That was my upbringing.
And this is crazy to me, man, because typically if a dude go to jail as a kid, he's in prison, and he grows up to become a man while he's locked up, usually he takes on all of the bad habits from the inmates that are in prison because he's learning in reverse. Everything right is wrong, everything wrong is right. How did you break the cycle?
So I still picked up a lot of bad habits. I feel like I'm still like traumatized from prison. Like I done seen dudes get set on fire. I done seen dudes get, feces thrown on them. I'm in a cell with them. I done seen dudes get killed in prison. I done seen dudes OD in front of my face in prison. So I picked up a lot of habits that I saw from prison, but it was that. And I used to run numbers in prison. And I used to get the USA Today from this dude named Chris Kellogg, this white dude. He actually went to UConn. And one day he told me, I always see you watching the stock market, but yet when you come get the USA Today from me, you don't get the business section, you only get the sports section. Right? And I was like, shit, well, that's where the numbers at. He was like, but if you watching the stock market, why you don't want to learn more about business? Don't focus just on the sports. That ain't gonna make you a billionaire. That ain't gonna get you where you gotta go. And I was like, damn, he was like, what you wanna be? You wanna run a casino when you go home or something? So that kind of just changed my mindset about just how I saw the game. But when I came home, I still got back in the streets. Like, I ain't gonna never act like I just had it all figured out. And it's because of what you said. It's because of I had picked up so many bad habits, even in my mind in prison. And this may sound crazy when your audience hear it, but in my mind, I was like, oh, I could do another bid. Because that's the talk, like in prison. Oh, I got another 10 years in me. Oh, I could do another 5. Oh, I could do another 6 or 7 standing on my head. I ain't tripping. And to the outside world, you be like, man, y'all crazy. But in the end, but like while you in prison, you start to normalize that environment, and you start to tell yourself like, all right, this is my future. Like, so you start trying to put plans together on how do I become the best criminal? How do I be a better dope dealer? How do I be a better robber? How do I be a better jacker? So when I came home, I was like, all right, I ain't go to jail for selling drugs, so I might be a pretty good drug dealer. You know, I come here for shooting somebody, so I ain't tripping. But I caught another charge. 8 pounds, $10,000, 100 X pills, a pint of lean, a 223, and a 40. But I got found out guilty on that, fruit of a poisonous tree. And so it was in that moment, I'm like, you know what? Man, I ain't gonna sell drugs no more. I'm gonna just start robbing drug dealers. So my mind never went to, man, this ain't for me. I'm tripping. Like, there's a point where you just think, like, if this part of the street's not working for me, I'm gonna just do something else. But it's never an idea that I won't get out the streets. Because in my mind, I felt like if you ain't doing something illegal, you ain't getting no money. Like the streets had conditioned me. I was a product of that. I had been molded. All of my OGs was gangsters. You know, everybody who I looked up to was streets. My mama had been to the street. Ain't nobody telling me different. And then people who not in the streets, the only sound advice they giving you is go get a job. And for somebody that's in the streets, that ain't the best advice, because even though they not free, that's a sense of freedom for them. And I ain't clocking in for nobody, but yet you're risking your life. But I done accepted that. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. You feel what I'm saying? So I almost got killed. Me and my homie went hit this lick, and then that was just one of those moments I was like, man, I ain't doing this no more. Like, I got found out guilty. I done did the 10 years. My life done been spared a couple times. I don't want to keep shaking the dice. And then I got blessed because after I made that decision, I had my daughter. And once my daughter was there,
them daughters will do it, won't they?
That was the, this a little different now.
Yeah.
You know, so I was still investing in the stock market. I was using street money. But a part of me was like, I don't want my daughter, I don't want her to come to jail and visit me. Because I remember a partner of mine was 19, Baby Al, he was out the Magnolia. He had 99 years, 18 years old. And I remember he had a daughter. And I remember one day we was sitting on the bed, and his little one came sawing. And when his little one left, now he on a whole murder charge.
He started crying.
He was like, dog, I ain't gonna never see my little one again. And he was like, man, these white folks done gave me 99 years. And he ain't never, you don't take accountability for it, but you like them white folks ain't give you 99 years, right? You get yourself 99 years. And I told myself, like, I don't never want to be that. And so I ain't gonna lie, I always give credit to my daughter, because she the reason why I went cold turkey on the streets, and she the reason why I felt like I'm gonna do something different. And so because I saw so many of these, just white people making so much money in the stock market, I was like, yo, I could do that shit. It sure remind me of the streets anyway. And so that's how I just pivoted to it, and I just like stuck with it. And that was it. That was kind of it right there for me, for real.
I want to go back to this white folks giving them 99 years.
Yeah.
I see it a little differently.
All right.
I think he put himself in the position for them white folks to give him 99
100%.
years. They absolutely gave him 99 years. And that's the trip part about it, because, we put ourselves in these positions oftentimes, and then we end up going into a courtroom, and we basically throw ourselves on the mercy of the court and hope that these people show us mercy who was hired to not show us mercy. Mm-hmm. You see, that's what we have to understand. It's not fair. It's not for us. Mm-hmm. In fact, the only thing that is for us is punishment.
Yes.
This is why they do what they do. So when they see us, it's like job security.
Yep.
Just understand that. Every time you go out there and make that little old lick,
yep,
soon as you step off that porch and do this or whatever, you grab that pistol and you put that thing in somebody's face or whatever, that's job security to them. They really ain't tripping. All this stuff about these people being scared of, these people are not scared of us. They got all the guns, they got drones, they got tanks,
and the laws.
They got bombs, they got the laws, they got all of that. They're not afraid of us. Let me put it like this. They're not afraid of us that act that way. They're afraid of us that act this way.
That's a fact.